Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia, my co-host. Again, thank you very much, Allison Despathi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. It's always great to talk shop with you.
I'm very, very happy to have you joining me. I'm sure our audience is liking a conversation rather than me just reading from some of these articles, some of these authors, who, by the way, are very good.
Amazing.
You including.
Oh, my gosh. No, there's so many good authors out there.
Yes.
Lots of good info.
So I hope everybody is enjoying the fact that we are doing very, very little damage to Vermont because we are adjourned.
Yes. Woohoo.
So I'm
It's
sure
been more than a week. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure that plucked some nerves of some people listening, and probably gave some people a chuckle. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and it is, I guess, because it's the end of the biennium, it is campaign season.
Election season. Absolutely in effect.
So it's
Yep.
really crazy.
Yeah, and do your research, people.
Yeah.
This is a big one.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Before we get into our first article, we've talked about this before. Somebody I know who's not in my district, but who I like their input, said to me one day, I wish party affiliation was not on the ballot.
Yes,
it was just
I know
the
you
name.
said that,
and
right.
I looked, I said, well, why? Because then people are going to be forced to do their own research.
Right. You hope.
They're
we
not
hope.
going to, we hope.
Right.
Because otherwise it's just, and I've had it happen to me.
Just check the box. Check the box. I know.
I had it happen to me. Oh,
Right.
when you start talking to someone, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Do you vote? Well, yeah. I'd like to talk to you about this. Oh, are you a Republican or a Democrat?
I know.
They're not. What's your platform? They don't ask what your platform is.
Well, that's the classic
Why?
divide and conquer. We have to be communicating.
Yeah, you
I
need
know.
to. So if you hear about a candidate, find out what their platform is. If they're running for re-election, find out what they voted for.
Yes.
Did they vote for your private property rights, for your individual rights? Did they vote for things that are going to give you more public safety?
Right.
Return Vermont to what it was 2, 5, 10 years ago, where you could leave your car unlocked. You could leave your home unlocked.
Right.
Where if your neighbor needed something, they knew that they could just stop by and grab it and return it. And now nobody can do that because of mostly
A lot of the
crime
drugs and
driven
crime.
by
Exactly.
drug addiction.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there
Big
are another
problem.
thing. Where does the candidate stand on transportation? We've got a serious problem with our transportation budget.
Well, that's because so much of it keeps getting taken out to go to education, and we can't
You're right.
maximize
You're
federal
right.
funds. I
We
know.
can't- right. So we've got to be able to learn how to maximize, like you said, our money.
Right.
And one of the
Right.
ways is to keep the transportation dollars in the transportation fund.
And stop raising any taxes or fees
Yes.
and keep it affordable.
Yes.
And this is where I just want to say, like, Mike, obviously you guys made major headway with some of these changes in Act 181.
Yes.
And we're trying to see if the
was
governor's
a
going to
good
sign.
start.
Yes, really good start.
It was a good start.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's what, and there are some people out there, it needs to be repealed, 181. You're not going to get a lot of disagreement out of a lot of people.
Right.
Most of us up in the State House know that 98% of 181 needs to go.
Yeah, I agree.
What we got was a really good start, and it mostly returned us back to pre-181. Mostly. There are some good things that
And
came
that
out
tier
of it.
one situation still people will
Yes.
debate back and forth, but that's where just back to this
Well,
vote situation is
yes.
you guys took a step in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to do
Right.
if we want to get things back on a good track.
And if we want to get them back on a good track, here we go again with the balance.
Yes.
What did we get in November of 2024? We got a huge step forward when it comes to balance.
Yes.
Did we get exactly where we need to be, in my humble opinion? No.
No, but closer.
Yes.
The supermajority was broken, as everybody knows, and now
Yes.
we just need much better,
Right.
just more of the party closer together numbers so that communication can happen.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Communication. If there's a bill on a wall and the committee structure, meaning the number of of
Dems and Republicans,
Dems, Republicans, independents, and or progressives.
Right.
If there isn't a balance of the membership on there, close to an even, and
Yeah,
most
you
of the
need it
committees
tight.
are not.
Right. Right.
If they're not close to even, then the risk of not having a balanced discussion is very high. The risk of a tax reduction bill sitting on the wall in either Ways and Means or Appropriations is it's
They're
not
not
going to
going to
go
move.
anywhere.
They're not going to move.
It's not going to go
And you know what?
anywhere.
I would say Chair Kathleen James of House Energy Digital Infrastructure, and she's not running again, but she had so many votes come out of her committee with total party divide. Dems
well,
voting yes,
we had-
Republicans voting no. That's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. And
Right.
we had a number in ours. In our committee, Environment Committee, we had a couple that came out unanimously because although they weren't great, we made them better.
Right.
By the time they left our committee.
Yeah.
Now, one example of that, perfect example, was S212. It came out very good. There were some amendments later on.
Was that the water? Was that a
was
water bill?
Yes,
Yes.
the potable water and sewer,
Yes.
wastewater connections, potable water connections and wastewater connections. But that bill made total sense.
And that was a unanimous out of committee?
Yes,
Good, good.
And then Representative Greer had an amendment that at first didn't seem to go anywhere, and then there was a big kerfuffle. And
Yes.
there were some changes,
And that landed. That's good.
and it landed. It
and
was
that
a
was
great
also
amendment.
a private property issue.
Yeah, it
Yes,
was.
Yeah.
But that amendment, because there was more balance and there was more actual people representing their districts is what happened. Instead of voting party lines. That's why
Exactly.
that amendment
For Vermonters,
through.
for the constituents, the districts,
Yes.
that what we need. And I just want to give a shout out to Representative Matt Walker, who's the chair of transportation,
Yes.
Republican from
Good
Swanton.
man.
He is awesome, and he runs a committee, his committee, transportation, the way I feel it should be done. He just checks in with all members and has a conversation. And what do we want to take up? What's
Yes.
important? Versus the committee chair and the vice chair saying, this is what we're going to do. We don't care who likes it and doesn't like it. This is our agenda. It's just,
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see the way he runs his committee,
Yeah.
the way it should be done.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you. There are some that there are more like conversations. I know when I presented an amendment in the Gov Ops and Military Affairs
Yep.
Committee,
Yep.
I felt like there was more of a discussion,
Real conversation.
a real conversation.
Good.
And honestly, even in Ways and Means, I felt like there was the committee was more open to a discussion when I presented an amendment.
That's amazing.
They're not all like that.
Right. A lot of times there is that agenda driven. This
Yes.
is what we want. We're going to drive it through. We
Yes.
don't really care what you think. Versus the, hey,
Yes.
let's lay it all out here and really talk about it and figure out what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's got to be done that way. And that's where if we have that tighter balance like you're talking about,
Yeah.
then that's going to force that to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we should probably get into some of these. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about education again because education is in the forefront of most people's mind. Well, for two reasons. Number one, taxation.
Yes.
Whether you have kids at school or not, taxes need to stop rising. Okay. Actually, we need to find ways. Maybe next session we'll see if we get closer to actual balance. Maybe we will actually see some decreases.
Yes.
But Act 73 and H 955 this past session are in the forefront because of money and because of school structure.
Right, right.
So we were talking earlier about great authors. I think personally, Rob Roper on Substack, and he publishes also on Vermont Daily Chronicle and other places.
Excellent work.
Yes, excellent work. And so this is dated June 8, 2026. Want to save rural schools? Go independent.
Right.
And I'm going to say it again. It's my microphone, so I'm gonna
Right.
H89.
Yeah, you had that bill.
Okay, it's going
You
to need
have
to
that
go back.
bill. And if you get back in,
Fingers
hopefully
crossed,
reintroduced.
It's going to need to go for a new bill number, and it's going to need to go for a new hopefully a new order.
And hopefully a few minor tweaks,
a couple
right?
of tweaks maybe, because
Right.
people have brought some things out that need to be tweaked. And
Yeah.
also, that can be done in a committee setting.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
you guys could make that happen. And I just want to say, Rob Roper and Retta Dunlap and I, we sit on EdWatch Vermont.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
edwatchvermont.org. And we've been advocating for school choice. How are we going to make school choice happen? And obviously, in his article here, one of
Yep.
the big things we were trying to talk about this session is this moratorium. So in
Yes.
2023, Act 73 put a moratorium on any new independent schools coming in to get approved for town tuitioning.
Right.
And this is what I think this article, what he focused on there, right?
Well, yeah, it does. And we're going to probably run into the end of this and then into the next segment, because
Yep.
you and I have this gift of gab here going. And hopefully we're not boring our listeners. But anyway, in the wake of Act 73 and H 955, education, quote unquote, reform, and the emphasis on consolidation, there has been considerable worry in rural Vermont about what this means for their small local schools.
Yes.
For many, it will mean closure. A recent op-ed by Nina Anton notes, quote, when Senator Ruth Hardy, a Democrat from Addison, presented H 955 on the Vermont Senate floor, she acknowledged this directly, saying small districts that vote against merging will not be able to survive on the foundation formula, end quote.
Yes, and I just want to add one quick thing here. This is a big deal in the Northeast Kingdom. Well, throughout Vermont for sure.
It is.
But in the Northeast Kingdom, we've got a lot of small rural schools, and even Peacham, the town next to me in
Yes.
Danville, they just sold, the town
Right.
bought their school for $1 because of their concern what's going to happen if our school has to merge and close. We
Right.
want to have this building.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I'll let
So-
you keep going, but yes.
Well, then they will hopefully have the option that is quoted here in the article.
Yep.
And he says, unless, if rural communities want a shot at keeping and improving their local school, they should look at what North Bennington did in 2013, when the first major discussions of forced district consolidation were taking place, the ones that led to Act 46.
Right.
They closed their public elementary school to become a, quote, non-operating district, end quote, and seamlessly reopened it as a now independent village school of North Bennington.
Much more local control,
Yes.
control over their budget, control over the curriculum. There's so many benefits to this.
And there are some who say if you look at a more strict reading of the Constitution, it's actually in the Constitution of Vermont as local control. There are a
Yes.
number of people who have said, look at it, read it. If you read the Constitution properly, we have given too much control to the state.
Yes,
When
we
it
have much
comes
more
to-
of a
yes.
top-down central planning
Yes.
versus these community schools, which is how it has been set up historically.
Right. So independent schools in Vermont have been surviving and thriving under a foundation formula, aka tuitioning, for over 150 years. It's very doable. For example, the tuitioning system provided VSNB a set amount of $21,350 per child for the 2025-2026 school year. That's the budget, far less than the $30,000 plus per pupil average in the public schools, but they make it work spectacularly.
And we're actually at more like 35,000
currently
per student.
Yeah, and I think
yes.
you and I covered that
We
just
did.
toward the end of the last show because there were new statistics that came out.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So-
astounding. And
Yeah,
if they
it's
can do
very
this as an
scary.
independent school
Yes.
at this much lower rate, and also, obviously, Rob, as you'll see, or
Yeah.
as you might read, but he got into the fact that academic performance-wise, they're
Yeah.
doing much better.
And if you pull up this, I think this article appears in Vermont Daily Chronicle as well. So if you don't have a Substack subscription, you'll still be able to read it.
Yes.
But he does have a graph that shows Vermont standardized testing results for the village school of North Bennington versus public schools in Vermont. They're blowing them out of the water.
Right. But what is sort of one of the problems, Mike, is that right now a lot of the schools are fighting over kids because there's not that many kids. You know, we've had big declines in numbers of students. But if we really want to get to what's going to work for students, we need to be able to say, get rid of the moratorium.
Yeah.
And if a school can jump through the hoops, be approved to get town tuitioning, they should be able to operate.
Absolutely, they should.
Definitely.
In most cases, the independent schools are operating at a higher standard because
Yes.
they're required to.
and they're also doing it for less
doing
cost.
it for less. And I spoke to
Right.
somebody who worked at a independent school, and they've said they've been doing it for less for years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a misnomer that independent schools, all of them, cost more, which
Right.
is not true.
Not true. And the other thing that he brought up in that article, which is, do we have to wait?
Yeah,
okay,
no,
we'll
we're gonna
wait
need
till
to
next
go
time.
because we're talking away, and I just realized we have gone way over time.
Oops,
here.
sorry,
So,
guys.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to need to catch up with this after we pay a few bills. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Okay, so we're in the education realm still on Rob Roper's article talking up independent schools. And it's, to me, school choice, independent schools, it's the obvious fix.
Yeah.
If you want improved outcomes and you want lower costs, you have to have a free market type
Yes.
atmosphere.
Yes.
You've got to have some sort of competition. These schools need to be competing for the business.
Right, right.
And mom
And
and dad and
what is
student
really
need to be
good,
yeah.
like what's working and successful, like that's going to bubble up to the surface. And then
Yeah.
there's going to be that option for people, and other schools are going to want to emulate that. And then we just have, more out there for families to choose from. I mean, we know that this is the path. And then really the big thing, Mike, is getting it to, from a legislation standpoint, how do you create this system? How do you put this in place? And
Yeah.
this is where that moratorium, which Rob is talking about, is a massive, massive roadblock for any sort of innovation or other idea. Because if you can't have an independent school come in
Right.
to get town tuitioning right now, then we're not going to be able to have these options available. And then we're just locked in to this very expensive, low performing public school system with a
Right.
few little independents that are allowed to do this. And that's obviously not solving any problem.
No, we're talking about price controls.
Right. Right.
Look around the world. Every time, look in our own country. Every time there's price controls, what happens?
Right, I know.
Something
exactly.
goes wrong.
No, it's not
Something goes
okay.
wrong. We
Right.
have historical proof, no matter whether you're looking at this country, other countries, whether you're looking at certain markets over
Right.
others. Look at the state of our healthcare system.
I was just going to say the healthcare thing is the
How
same
many more
exact deal.
examples?
Right.
And the problem is people don't like change.
Right.
There are people who don't like change. And
Did you see if the governor signed S190, that sort of fake reference-based pricing? Do you know?
you
if
know
that
what?
happened?
When we come back from the next
We can check
segment,
that out.
we'll check it out because
'Cause
there was
talking
some
about price
stuff that just
controls-
came out yesterday.
Okay.
A number of bills that the governor signed. So
Okay.
we'll have to.
Next break
yes.
we can check it.
Yeah,
the
we'll talk
update.
about that. Yes.
Perfect.
So let me get back into this. The last year, VSNB was a public school. It had an enrollment of 121 students. Today, it has 137, an increase of 13%, despite the fact that Bennington's overall population has dropped by nearly 3.5% over the same 15-year period.
That says a lot. It's attracting students.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly. Why? Academically, the school is significantly outperforming the statewide averages for all tested subjects. 88 to 56% proficiency in literacy.
Yeah, and this
Let me
is
say that
much
again.
higher than a lot of
88
schools.
to 56%. That's a huge gap.
Yes.
63 to 47% in math. 63 to 43% in science. 2024 results.
Yeah.
So we have the proof.
Right.
It's
Good thing Bennington got ahead of that. Yeah.
They were smart.
Yes.
So maybe some of these smaller schools, maybe all of our schools should be following this model.
And I will say also towards the end of his article, he did mention we've got in the Northeast Kingdom Riverside School, Thaddeus Stevens School. They're all these
Okay.
smaller independents who get this town tuitioning, and it's working wonderfully. These
Yeah.
schools are, and students in them are performing amazing.
Yeah, they are. So I'm going to skip around a little bit here.
Yep.
Let's see. These are creative, innovative, cost-effective solutions that benefit students and families and make for a more vibrant, successful educational and community experience.
Right.
But the VTNEA doesn't allow this sort of thing in the schools. It controls personal conclusion because it's greedy and lazy and evil.
Well, there's too much top-down control. Yes.
So, yeah, small rural schools can thrive under the independent tuitioning foundation formula model Vermont has had for over a century and a half, providing broader curriculum opportunities and producing better student outcomes using fewer taxpayer dollars.
Right. And now, essentially, Mike, I'm sorry, I just want to plug in.
No.
They have essentially, with this moratorium, blocked the market, so to speak, so that you aren't allowed to have, you're blocking any of the innovation or students or teachers who come along and go, you know what, I can make a school with a great curriculum and help these students and do it for a good cost. And right now this moratorium has put a block on that. And I don't know what the intention is. How long is that moratorium going to be in place? Like, we have no idea.
That's a good question. And most likely the moratorium will be in place until the makeup of the legislature decides the moratorium needs to go.
Right. Or if this sort of forced merger consolidation plan comes together, and then they'll probably will go away forever. I don't know.
Well, it's funny the way, and I haven't studied H955 in and out, okay? But it looks like these groups of schools, I forgot what the heck they're called in the bill.
Yes, so the CSAs.
The CSAs,
the
groupings that will be going with the CSAs. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot how many CSAs there are now.
There's 7 CSAs, but then there were 17 or 18 sort of merger committees.
The committees, right?
Yes.
Merger committees, but within the bill, it's written that if one school wants to jump to an adjoining committee district because the one school feels like they would be a better fit, that's also an option. They can put it to a vote and decide.
Right.
There's also, from what I'm told in the wording, and I've got to go back and read through, that even if you have tuitioning, if you wind up with a what do they call it? With a district where there is a high school, you can still opt into tuitioning. Now, I don't know if that's a hard and fast fact or if that's going to eventually go away either.
Right.
But
I mean, essentially they were... Oh, go ahead. You go ahead first.
The one reason this was actually made it across the finish line this session was because it didn't harm the tuitioning that we currently have.
Exactly. That was a huge deal.
The tuitioning that we have. So I can't see how tuitioning would eventually be going away because that was a huge stumbling block.
Yes.
So,
and to me, it would be like, do they then take that tuitioning down the road away and they just say, oh, by the way, here's your district, this is where you go? Or do they open it up and then finally allow everyone to have town tuitioning?
Here's the problem. There are so many towns, one of my towns and one in my district, 2 of them, excuse me, that we have it.
Yeah.
There are people who have come right out and said at select board meetings, at town meeting day, we moved here for tuitioning.
Yes.
We wanted the school choice. That's why we chose the town we're in. I'm sure my district is not the only one where that's the case.
Exactly.
Why are you going to put development pressure on a set of fewer towns instead of spreading it across the state?
And this brings us to Sean Tester, who's the CEO of
there was
Northern
a great
Vermont
article
Regional
or commentary.
Hospital.
He did a great commentary.
He did a great job. And basically that is a big thing. And I've talked to him about that, and many businesses in the Kingdom area and probably throughout Vermont. That's a selling point for someone to move there, a family to move there, a company to come, someone to take a job at the hospital, for them to say your child will have access to this wonderful education and this town tuitioning. Even on the real estate websites in the Kingdom, it specifically has in there this town tuitioning school choice option, which families love.
It's absolutely a draw.
Yes.
Here's the other thing. And a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, but a number of people who were able to read between the lines with respect to Act 181 and the tiered system.
Yes.
They saw there were 2 two people who testified. They were from the Northeast Kingdom. They laid that out very well.
Oh yeah,
They
exactly.
talked about how 181, what it did to the Northeast Kingdom in specifically, and what it would do to schools, tuitioning, and how many schools would be closing and how quickly that would happen if S325 did not happen.
Exactly. And we
So,
are still waiting on
yeah,
the governor's
and we're
signing of that.
I cannot wait to actually
I know.
put something out there.
You've
that
been
say
keeping
that
a
it's been
close
signed.
eye,
I've
yes.
been watching very carefully. I've been looking at my
know.
emails and looking at the postings from I believe it's Amanda Wheeler. She puts out a lot of the correspondence from the governor,
Right.
and I haven't seen one yet.
Right. But
So
this
as
is
soon as I
probably
do-
the biggest win. Like I'd say the
It was
biggest win
it
of
was
the
a
session.
huge win. It was a huge win.
Yes.
So, but getting back to the education thing in this state, I think once we get this hammered out, and I hope it's because there is tuitioning eventually statewide, whether we call them, and you and I were talking a little bit about this, whether they're magnet schools, whether they're charter schools, whether they're independent,
Right.
whatever you call them.
Right.
As
Doesn't
long
matter.
as mom and dad and their student can decide which school is going to be for them, and like it was brought up, I don't know if it was Sean Tester in his article, in his commentary, or it was someone else. There are a number of people who choose the school for their student because it's on their
the way
commute.
to school,
It's-
the way to work.
It's on the
exactly.
commute for the parents. So
Yes.
the parents have the peace of mind to know that their child is getting to school when their child is actually leaving school, because the parent are the transportation.
Exactly.
So it's not falling on the school system or the state to deal with being the purveyor of transportation.
And there's
for the
multiple
student.
legislators who
Yes.
have taken advantage of that with their children, so they understand the situation.
Yeah, and I've come across state employees in my district who have done the same thing.
And I
They
will
choose
say,
to-
like,
yeah.
some of the hardcore public school only lock in the system Vermont NEA sort of legislators are stepping down. So Peter Conlon from House Education,
right.
Rebecca Holcomb, who's been a
Okay.
really big one. Some of these legislators are, we don't even want to talk about independence. We don't want anyone to have an option.
Oh, that's true.
Public school
That's
only,
true.
which has been a very sort of dangerous path for Vermont and not helping students or taxes. So the fact that they're stepping down, here we are again in this opportunity. Who's going to get elected? You know, what's the composition going to look like? Back to your, comment
Oh yeah,
there.
and look, the idea is balance. The idea for
That's what we
November
want.
is balance. We need to actually have a debate. There needs to be both sides of any part of
Yes.
the discussion equally heard, so it can be evaluated. There needs to be enough time. Also,
Right.
we need to stop. Oh, well, we're running out of time. We need to get this bill across the finish line
It's
for
sloppy.
crossover.
It's
So
sloppy.
the Senate will fix it.
No, then they don't fix it. It doesn't
Or they
often
make it
happen.
worse.
Right.
Which bill got all kinds of pushback? 727 was that?
Oh,
it?
yeah, the data center
that
one.
got eventually
Oh,
vetoed
yes,
because
yes.
it got put through the meat grinder, and when it came out, it was horrible.
Horrible.
Coming out of the House, it was better.
Yeah.
We need to be able to have committee discussions
Mm-hmm.
long enough about the highest priority issues for Vermont.
Right.
And the only way we're going to get that is balance.
I know. I just want it tight. I just want like party tight. So you guys are forced. No offense.
Well, it's going to happen.
Right,
It's
right.
going. It
I
looks
hope.
like it really is. There are a lot of people. I know when I was out talking with people, there were a lot of people who were relieved that they felt like there was more balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They felt like they could take a deep breath, and they understood that because the governor had the veto power, and he could sustain a veto.
Yes, it's huge.
Especially with the numbers that the governor won his last re-election with.
Right.
They understand that there's a need for balance.
Right.
Otherwise, the wins we got last
And I
election
think we
wouldn't
saw
have
that
happened.
with regards to the budget, because the budget
Yeah.
increase was only what, 2.9%.
Yeah, something like that. It
So
was
like
very low.
9.4 billion, like
Well-
with much lower increases than
And
we've had.
that can be something we talk about a little bit more in the next segment. But
Yes.
yes, because the $104 million was like the Senate did. The House
Was going to do
version
less.
was only half of that,
Right,
which
right.
would have been a 7% average increase. There was only a 3.5% average.
Because they went with the
So
bigger buy down.
right. Overall, the state budget, once everything was worked out, the state budget was very small increase. Although when you're talking $9.48 billion,
I know.
I have a hard time.
We got to
finding-
do some work with
we,
that.
We got to find.
I know.
There's got to be a way to trim something.
100% we have to.
There has got to.
I
So,
know.
all right,
I got
so-
some ideas for that, Mike.
Yeah. I've got some ideas too. I don't know how well they'll go over. But anyway, we're going to need to pay some more bills here, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. And before we get back into our discussion, I just want to remind everyone, rightside-up-radio@gmail.com if you would like to drop us a line. If for some reason you can't catch us on on WNTK Radio, you can go to WNTK.com, scroll over to the podcast button, click on it, and you will be able to find any number of our shows and listen to them any time of the day or night. You can find us on Podbean. You can find us on 802 Scoop Facebook, 802 Scoop YouTube, and you can also find us on GraniteGrock.com. And just in case there are any of you who are business owners within the listening area or anywhere actually in the state, and you'd like to become a sponsor, shoot us an email and let us know, because we would love to be able to take sponsors for the show. So, Allison, I want to do a little bit more on this article by Rob Roper.
Yeah, lots to say about education.
yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's really good. There's just a little bit more, and then we can move into another very a topic that was,
heated.
yes, it brought a lot of attention
Yes.
in the legislature this year. It brought a lot of people out of the woodwork, and it got a lot more people civically engaged, which I was very happy about.
Yes.
So, one last paragraph on this education. No one can guarantee going independent will work in every case, but the evidence for potential success is there. Both examples in Vermont of public schools doing this, VSNB and the Mountain School at Winhall, K through 6 in 1988, have been success stories and have stood the test of time. But it's a small sample size for sure. There are also a number of highly successful, small, rural, independent, from-the-start schools to look at for ideas and inspiration, such as Sharon Academy, grades 7 through 12, 147 students, 24,700 per pupil, still less than the state average.
Right.
Okay, Riverside School, pre-K through 8, 105 students, and Thaddeus Stevens, K through 8, 45 students. 19,120 for K through 6, 20,910 for 7 through 8.
And those are the schools two of the schools
Yeah.
I was mentioning in the Northeast Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
just keeping in mind, I think that people have to realize there were so many great independent schools that had been receiving town tuitioning that were shut down with Act 73 and literally kicked out. And so now we only have 18 besides our public schools who can receive town tuitioning. So
Yeah,
again,
and-
we're like, how do we create this sort of fair system that allows opportunity for schools and teachers to come in and turn this around? Because we know it's not heading the right way.
I hope this doesn't come off wrong. I'm less worried about fair and more interested in the outcomes.
Yes, yeah.
It's
And I mean
it's
fair, I
what's
guess, in
more
the
fair.
market sense of
Okay.
like fair playing ground for schools to come in versus us saying, or the legislature saying, oh, these schools are okay to get money, these schools are not.
Right.
If you can pass the test,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And speaking of passing tests, that's why I said I'm more worried about the outcomes.
yes.
Because is it fair to have students graduating right now that can't walk into a trade, they can't fill out a job a job application,
Right.
can't write a resume,
Right.
and when they get accepted to college, they still wind up in some sort of remedial courses to get them up to college level courses.
Right. When they had the whole time in
When they
grade
had-
school and high school to make sure these skills were put
Absolutely.
in place.
So
I
if
know.
we have schools that can get them there, then isn't that fair?
And that's where I think we're also back at. I think of, and I may have mentioned this in the past, but Cabot School, they have some
Yep.
students that they call the trauma kids, and
Okay.
a lot of these kids come from families who there's been drugs, abuse.
Right.
A lot of times there's, poverty and low income. They don't have a good home life. And then they come in and there's a lot of disruption in the schools.
Right.
So obviously there's so many layers to the issues going on of why actual education isn't happening.
Yeah.
But that's one of them, as we know. And obviously it's also then the top-down curriculum. Like when you're talking about a public school, a lot of times it's what is prioritized for the kids to be focusing on and actually what should they be learning about.
Yeah.
And we know that that's the basics like you just said.
Yeah.
Like the reading, the writing, the math, the history.
Yeah.
It's like those are the core pieces to get back to.
And like we learned, like I just said, civics.
Yes.
Learning more about what your government is supposed to be doing for you.
Yes,
And how it's
indeed.
supposed to be working.
Right. And how it takes ongoing engagement to make sure that's happening.
Yes, absolutely it does.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I want to get into this next one. This is a commentary. I'm fairly certain here. Let me scroll to the bottom because the way some of these articles are written. This is from Senator Terry Williams of Rutland District.
And he is the vice chair on Senate Natural Resources and
Okay.
Energy. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Great
this-
guy.
Yep. Friend of mine. He's been a friend and supporter of mine from the very beginning.
Good.
So this is on FYVT.com, but I think it also has appeared in Vermont Daily Chronicle, and I've noticed it on posted on Facebook. People
Yes.
have shared it.
Definitely.
The title is "Who Owns the Land in Vermont?" And this is June 5th, 2026. A phrase came up during debate this session that has stuck with me. It refers to lands owned by A&R. A&R is Agency of Natural Resources.
Right.
Most people probably would have read right past it. I almost did too, but the more I thought about it, the more the wording bothered me.
Yes.
Not because I have some quarrel with the Agency of Natural Resources. I do not. Vermont needs people who know how to manage forest, water, wildlife, parks, wetlands, and public lands. A lot of good people do that work every day. But does A&R own the land? Or does the land belong to the people of Vermont, with state government acting as the caretaker?
There we go.
There you go.
That's it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That is the way it should be. And that's when people hear lands owned by A&R, that should be their response.
Yeah. And that's just a disconnect because we know that's not the case.
And that's one of those things with the slow change in attitudes or the lack of engagement with your state government, with your legislators, knowing, of the people, by the people, for the people.
Right, exactly.
So-
and actually, Mike, you might know the answer to this. I think it came up in your committee, House Environment, where they were talking about how 80% of the lands in Vermont are privately held.
78, or it was somewhere
Close to 80.
close to 80% of
are
the land.
privately held. So we're
It's
talking
privately
this
held.
like 22% public lands held
Yeah.
by the Vermont
Yes.
people.
And that's
Right.
one of the reasons, getting a little off topic, why the H70 argument.
Yes.
Which was including the current use or use value appraisal land
Yes.
in the 30 by 30 and 50 by 50. We have a program, and I've said this in numerous venues. We have a program that we should be promoting to other states and other countries.
It's amazing for our working lands.
It's durable conservation.
Right.
The working lands are absolutely some of the best ways to do active conservation.
Right. And for Vermont and by Vermont.
Yeah.
Versus a lot of these sort of, outside international based trusts that come in, and it's a different ballgame.
No, we're talking about private landowners need to get their due.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a program that was started in 1970.
Like 2, 3.
9.
Oh, okay, maybe. There
78, 79, I think.
Okay.
It's been around for like 49 years.
Okay.
But rural Vermonters who signed up for this program need to get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah.
And being included in the 30 by 30 and 50 by 50 is a good first step.
And even Vermonters who aren't enrolled in that program but are good stewards of the land and do take good care of their land, we have to acknowledge what's been happening for a long time. And 30 by 30 and 50 by 50, Act 59, obviously really just sort of disrespects that and makes assumptions that, Vermonters aren't taking good care or aren't good stewards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me get back to this, because some of this I think is really well said.
Good.
That may sound like a small distinction, but I do not think it is. Words matter in government. The way we talk about something often reveals the way we think about it. If we get comfortable saying agencies own public land, we risk changing the relationship between citizens and their government. Didn't we just see this with the 181 debate?
Exactly. This is a good point.
Little by little, the public starts to feel less like the owner of the system and more like the subject of it. That is backwards. I completely agree.
Good call.
When I ask a neighbor to watch my property while I'm away, mow the lawn, repair a fence, or keep an eye on things, that neighbor does not become the owner. He is helping care for something that still belongs to me. Government should work the same way.
Great analogy.
The people of Vermont created the state government. Citizens elected representatives. Representatives pass laws. Agencies administer those laws and manage public resources on behalf of the public. That is the proper order.
Yes.
This is why, no matter what, we needed to go over this. This is one of those things where, because of the massive civic engagement that we saw coming this past session, because of
Act
the 181
181.
and S325 resulting.
Right.
This is one of the reasons why, because people started to realize, wait a minute.
Yeah, what's at stake
The
here?
words matter. What's happening matters. And there are enough people, smart enough, well-educated enough, willing to step forward, who either posted on social media or took the time out of their day to write an email to get scheduled to come and testify
Right.
in the State House
And writing
about
letters.
issues,
in
writing
the
letters,
newspapers,
emails by
right.
the thousands.
Yes. Because we're
That-
talking about private property. If you
Yes,
talk about
we're
life, liberty,
talking
and the
about
pursuit of
who
happiness,
owns the
property
land.
is tied to this.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
There was another great post. I think it was on NOFA, Vermont. It wasn't land or people. It's land and the people.
And again, this is where language matters.
Yeah, and I
how
think
we
it was
talk
on
about
I think it was on something that was.
the Organic Farming Association.
I think that's where I read it.
The other thing that I think is worth putting out there, and I was very happy to see this, I don't know where people land and people might feel differently, but New Hampshire just banned carbon markets on public lands, which I think is a huge win when you look at the carbon market scam
Well,
that has been going on.
It's the corporatization of land ownership.
Yes.
And when you see some of even the land trusts that will get that conservation easement and then sell the carbon credits.
Yep. Nature Conservancy is big for
We're
that.
talking about multi-billion-dollar
yes.
nonprofits.
Huge endowments.
Huge coffers, right.
Huge, yes.
and then
yeah.
looking for grants from the state to help purchase lands to get easements
And then to get tax
to
breaks.
restrict, and then to get tax breaks.
And then to sell carbon credits.
So
Talk about locking up the land.
And we're talking about people who made a lot of these decisions under duress. And what I mean under duress is they've gotten to a point where the taxes are so high, they feel like the only way they're going to be able to afford to keep the land is to put a conservation easement on, which
Right.
is restricting their rights to
Any
the
development.
land use.
And the
Right.
development, yes.
So this is why this article, I know we're not going to have time to read through the whole thing, but
Right.
I wanted to point it out. It was on FYVT, Who Owns the Land in Vermont.
Yeah. It's a really
it's-
important point for us to think about as we talk about this land stewardship, land
Yes.
ownership, property rights.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So,
Indeed. No, thank you, Senator Williams. That
yes,
was great.
thank
to
you
see
very
for
much,
sure.
Senator Williams. And, you know, this is one of those things, citizen legislature.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a man who's retired in his 70s
Mm-hmm.
and stepped up and got elected because he wanted a seat at the table, because he brings these type of questions to his position in the Senate.
And this perspective.
Yeah, the perspective.
And he's been
yes.
so adamantly opposed to obviously the clean heat standard and a lot of these dangerous
Yes.
laws that are a burden and going to
Yeah.
increase costs for Vermonters.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. My computer just died, so I lost all my music. So, with
and
that,
you don't want me to sing.
thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, stay safe, stay informed. Listen to Right Side Up.